Good afternoon and welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Joleil Whitney. It's about that time of year when high school seniors start receiving acceptance letters from their prospective colleges. Students who choose early acceptance to UVM have already received their letters, and getting accepted is in some ways the easy part. Deciding which college to attend and how to pay for college can be perhaps more daunting. And if you go to college in Vermont or are a Vermonter going to college, you're going to want to talk to VSAC, the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation. Scott Giles has led VSAC as the president and CEO since 2003. Welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're always happy to have you on the show, but first let's talk about, we already said it was kind of a big decision, so what should families consider?
Well, first of all, congratulations to all the families that are, kind of contemplating this, because students have been working hard and they're in the process of getting those acceptance letters right now, so it's become decision time. And there's no one right answer for any particular student, so there are lots of things that we think about when we think about fit. But one of the most important ones that families always have to consider is the financial side, and that's where we really specialize in helping Vermont families navigate that process.
So is it often a matter of which one they'd like to go to versus which one students can afford?
Well, I think there's always a balance between, what is the school that is in the location that I want, has the programs that I want. But in the end of the day, what we encourage families to do is to strike a balance between, those wants and those things that we absolutely need. So find a school that offers the program you need at a price that you can afford. And oftentimes people will take a look at the sticker price of an institution and say, oh, I can't possibly do that. But that institution may offer financial aid that makes that a very, very affordable option. So we're here to work with families to help them figure out what the actual total net cost will be and balance those kind of wants and desires with their financial realities.
And we're talking about the financial letter as well. Does that come with an application, how much aid they're going to offer?
Well, oftentimes the acceptance letter will come with a financial aid package, but it doesn't always. And we encourage families to wait until they get that financial aid letter from the school before they make any decisions. The finances are obviously a big part of what this experience will be like, and that letter will give you the details as to really whether or not you can afford that institution, or how much more you would be paying or how much less you would be paying than your other choices.
And you already kind of touched on this, but VSAC is more than just providing a loan to maybe bridge the gap between what you already have covered and what you need to pay, but you also offer advice for kind of how best to do that. Is that right?
Absolutely. And more than just loans, we offer grants and scholarships. So we really encourage every family that is going through this to make sure that they have first applied for what we call gift aid, every type of grant or scholarship that they might be eligible that can offset those costs. And then we do provide career and college counseling so that we would help you if you were sitting down saying, I'm looking at these 4 schools. These are the programs they have. These are the financial aid award letters I've gotten. Can you help me understand what impact this will have on our finances?
So is it safe to assume that schools with the highest tuition offer the highest aid?
Oftentimes they will, but that's not the number that we encourage families to look at. We encourage families to look at what we call the net cost. So this would be the total amount that you're going to have to pay, the check you're going to have to write after all of your grants and scholarships are provided. Sometimes that higher priced institution is offering you enough financial aid to make it the lowest cost, but sometimes even though you may get a large scholarship, the total cost that you pay after that scholarship may still be high.
And how do colleges usually determine aid? Or is it kind of uniform, or does it depend on different factors?
It depends on a whole range of factors. So there are really 2 kinds of financial aid that colleges offer. The first kind is need-based, so they take a look at your financial capability, how much money you earn, how much you've saved, and offer financial aid based on that. And then the second kind is what we call merit aid. So maybe you have a particular skill or talent, or maybe you're from a state that they don't see a lot of students. Could be almost anything. They may offer you an award that's based on something other than your need. Those 2 combined then tell you what your net cost will be.
And are they negotiable? Maybe you get the letter and you're like, I'd like a bigger number in aid. Can you reach out to them and ask them to change it?
Absolutely. They won't always do it. It kind of depends on your circumstances. But this is one thing that we spend a lot of time working with families on. You may see an aid package that doesn't include everything that you were expecting, but just as often we'll see a family whose circumstances have changed. Maybe they've lost a job, retirement that they weren't expecting, a health issue. something in their financial circumstances has changed. And it's important that you work with the school to let them know, because oftentimes they'll adjust the aid in recognition of the new challenges that you're facing.
And does VSAC kind of help you through those negotiations?
We can help offer some advice. We rarely get on the phone
Sure.
and try and do the negotiation for you. But we actually have a place on our website that provides you the guidance. What information should I be pulling together? What are the kinds of factors that a school will be interested in knowing about before they would contemplate making a change to your financial aid award letter?
And this isn't one letter doesn't last for 4 years, does it? Do you have to do it every year, or will the financial aid stay the same?
Oh, that's such a fantastic question. Sometimes the awards that you are offered are just for 1 year. So one of the first things we encourage families to do is to reach out to the school if they're offering merit aid in particular, and say, hey, is this just an award that you're providing to me for my first year, or will this be an award that you're offering to me for each of the years that I'm in attendance? Get that information first, because that's an important part of your aid package. But the second thing we remind people is that you will have to reapply for most aid every year, particularly need-based financial aid. You'll have to fill out that federal financial aid form annually so that the school can test to make sure your financial circumstances have not changed.
And so does that look like FAFSA? Is that making sure you fill out your FAFSA?
You'll fill out the FAFSA. It used to be that you'd have to fill out the Vermont State Grant again, but we do auto renewals now based off of the FAFSA. But the FAFSA will be the biggest thing the schools will be requiring.
Absolutely, and this is kind of the same time of year for that as well. So people are maybe doing their taxes, getting their FAFSA together.
Absolutely.
Big paperwork time of year.
It is indeed.
And so what are a few examples of a change to family finances that you should keep in mind?
Well, oftentimes we see somebody has lost a job, or health is another issue that will happen. Maybe somebody in your family has gotten sick, you've got big medical bills. Those are the kinds of things that we will typically see that have changed for a family, and under those circumstances we strongly encourage them to reach out to their school and talk about their financial aid package.
How about if maybe I have a younger sibling who's going into college while I'm already there? Could that change things?
Oh, absolutely. So if the school learns that you've got multiple children going to school at the same time, or it could be a parent that's gone back to school simultaneously, oftentimes they'll take that into account.
And this is something maybe for kids to keep in mind a little bit more, but how much of school-provided financial aid depends on keeping a certain grade point average? Is that something you should look out for?
It's something that is very important. And, obviously, college is a big transition for everybody, and it's always important to focus on your studies once you make that transition. But a lot of financial aid, particularly the merit financial aid, will have minimum GPA requirements, and it's good to know what those are. And if you start to run into trouble, know that the school has support there, and reach out to that support quickly so that you can stay on track and maintain all of your aid.
Great, a good motivator to go to class.
Yes, indeed.
All right, now let's talk loans. What should families consider?
Well, loans are a complicated part of the financial aid package. Almost every Vermont family ends up relying on student loans to some extent, and there are really two basic kinds of loans. There are those loans made by the federal government, and then there are non-federal loans, sometimes called private loans. With students, we encourage them, if you're going to borrow, take a look at the federal student loan program first. Those rates are low, they don't have credit scores, and they've got repayment options with some loan forgiveness on the back end that make them very, very attractive. The other type of loan that often gets offered to families are what are called parent loans by the federal government. There, we encourage parents to shop around, because sometimes nonprofit lenders like VSAC or commercial lenders will offer a better rate.
And you mentioned the credit. Does that mean that if something happens and I don't pay my bill, it doesn't impact my credit score?
No, what we are looking for is sometimes most commercial lenders will say if you've got those people with really good credit scores will get better
rates.
Better rates. Those people who've had financial trouble will sometimes struggle to get the low rate that they wanted. That's a place where VSAC, our counselors, are always available to kind of help families navigate that. Make sure, one, that you're not borrowing more than you need to, and that if you are borrowing, you're getting the best deal you can.
And I know in the past couple of years there have been some issues with FAFSA. Have you heard of any so far this year?
Well, we've been working pretty much around the clock with Vermont families to make sure that they get those financial aid forms filled out. We had a kind of a catastrophe last year. This year, so far, the application came up in early December and it's been running smoothly. So, knock on wood, barring something unforeseen, families are able to access that form and fill out their financial aid forms and get their financial aid awards without any trouble this year.
Sure, and FAFSA is something that VSAC helps out with as well, isn't that right?
Absolutely. We've got counselors that are going around working in pretty much every high school in the state. We're offering forms nights where we will kind of, here are the forms, this is what they look like, and we'll even help families fill them out. And of course, if you couldn't make one of those programs, you can always pick up the phone and call us, and one of our counselors can help talk you through it.
Absolutely, and all of this information that we're talking about is on your website. That's vsac.org, or they can call or email VSAC, and that information is on the screen there, which is very helpful because you just said you guys help with a whole slew of things. We're almost out of time, but I would just want to quickly talk about deadlines. Is there anything big to keep in mind?
Well, the biggest deadline coming up will be May 1st, which is the acceptance deadline for most colleges and universities. So if you're a student in a family who's just getting their acceptance letters now, know that you've got the next kind of month or two or so to be able to make your decision. And know that VSAC is here to help you navigate all of that and kind of navigate the complexities of assessing your aid options.
And as we said, this is kind of a difficult conversation for a lot of people. So is that kind of a good thing?
Good that it's difficult?
Maybe.
Well, oftentimes,
builds character.
Oftentimes it's the first big financial decision that a family will have. And that can be a little bit challenging to navigate, but it's also an exciting time. This is a time of opportunity, and we really encourage families to enjoy the moment. These acceptance letters are the reward for a lot of hard work. And just remind people there's no one right option, and almost every college is going to offer you a really first-rate education and an exciting opportunity, and we try to encourage families to take a deep breath, enjoy the moment, and know that we're here to help if they need it.
Great, a great message to leave it on. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again.
Of course, we're always happy to have you. And again, if you're a Vermonter and you're going off to college in the fall, or you're someone from out of state going to college in Vermont, VSAC is a good place to start your college career. You can visit the website for resources and guides. I want to thank the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX who always make us feel accepted. I'm Joleil Whitney. This is Across the Fence. Have a good one.